May 11th. This is The View with Catherine.Chang. How is your Monday? I'm okay. Today's topics are President Tsai's inauguration speech and the delete of national unity of China. First, I want to talk about President Tsai's inauguration speech. You know, what President Tsai will say about Taiwan and China relationship on May 20th. A lot of people want to know, especially the government of China. Rumors are they sent out many people to figure out. Today, I want to make some comments on it. I don't know what she will say, but I do know what she won't say. She won't agree with the one China policy. Insider thinks that her speech will follow the principle that she once said when she was re-elected on January 11th, the 8 essential words, that is 和平、平等、民主、对话. In English, that means peace, equality, democracy, and dialogue. Well, I think first about the peace, this is a shout out to China. Stop sending aircraft to circle Taiwan and no more 100 and 500 missiles pointing at Taiwan. China should show really some friendly gesture to Taiwan. Second, equality. Taiwan and China must be equal. China should stop, suppressing Taiwan and should respect Taiwan. Stop treating Taiwan as if you are a big brother. Third, democracy. I think President Tsai said this to emphasize how China doesn't have democracy. And fourth, the dialogue. The two nations across the Taiwan Strait should really restart the political dialogue. However, if China constantly insists that one China policy, then it will be hard for this to happen. Well, I want to tell you why. Back when President Ma Ying-jeou was in the office, he agreed with the 92 consensus. It means one China, two interpretation. Taiwan can say that this is the Republic of China, and China can say that this is the People's Republic of China. However, the two sides basically have different ways of seeing this. China agrees with only one China policy, while President Ma agreed with one China policy and two interpretations. It is like lying to yourself. So therefore, when President Tsai was elected, she refused to admit this policy, and the dialogue was kind of determinate. And second, the delete of national unity. Well, last Friday, Taiwanese legislator removed the mention of unification with China and changed it into the country's development. Well, this is the act governing relations between the people of the Taiwan area and the mainland area. And it passes the first reading. Well, some people said that, this move showed that Taiwan is moving toward independence. But I don't think so. I think this is just Taiwan being more pragmatic. That may try and say asking, for example, national unification. Does it mean that Taiwan unified China or China unified Taiwan? Taiwan is a country with sovereignty. We call ourselves Republic of China. And Mao Zedong established People's Republic of China in 1949. So doesn't that mean ROC and PRC are two different nations? Some people comment that Mao Zedong should have never changed the name. If he didn't change the name and the country, the name in China also like the ROC, Republic of China. So both of us are Republic of China. So it's kind of hard to say who is the leading one. You remember, what we said that who really started United Nations? ROC is one of the founding nations and not PRC. And here are the top stories. Today we have 0 confirmed cases, but 1 death. He went to the States to visit relatives. His wife recovered, but unfortunately he didn't make it. And the New York Times wrote an article, Taiwan's weapon against coronavirus, an epidemiologist as vice president. And it is said that president is said, Mr. Chen is fighting to keep the coronavirus at bay and to predict the course of the pandemic. And unlike most officials, Mr. Chen has spent his career kind of preparing for this moment. He's a Johns Hopkins trained epidemiologist and an expert in viruses. And that kind of experience has kind of thrust Mr. Chen from behind the scenes to the front of Taiwan's response to the crisis. He has embraced the rare their dual role and using this political authority kind of to criticize China for initially trying to conceal the virus, even as a kind of a scientist in him and kind of hunkers down to analyze trends in transmissions. And President Tsai posted an official video on Mofa's Twitter, and she said that thank you for your support for Taiwan's inclusion in the WHO. And she pointed out those, kind of important politicians around the world and what is said to support Taiwan. First, I want to say that Japan Prime Minister Abe Shinzo, he said, it is very misfortunate to see Taiwan not able to participate as an observer. Virus will not be limited by borders, and there will be huge problems if the nation cannot exchange information with each other. And also the U.S. Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, said that, I want to call upon all nations to support Taiwan's participation as an observer at the World Health Assembly. Also, New Zealand Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Winston Peters said, New Zealand has always emphasized in our own engagement with the WHO with the importance of inclusivity and non-politicalization. We are a long friend for Taiwan. And also that about this whole thing, I want to talk about Canada Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau said, we support Taiwan's meaningful participation in international multilateral forum, especially when provides important contributions to the global public good. Well, speaking of Justin Trudeau, and he officially thanked Taiwan on this kind of a gift. It's a gift of 500,000 surgical masks to Canada. He said, I'm happy to thank Taiwan for its generous donation. On the other hand, he also said that about 8 million masks shipped from China to Canada failed to meet federal regulations. And he said Canada will not pay full price for the substandard N95 masks from China. And also, I want to talk about Foreign Affairs Committee of both houses of the United States Congress wrote a letter to governments of 55 countries to support Taiwan's bid to join the WHO and attend the WHO. And the letter kind of mentioned that as a whole world fights the Wuhan coronavirus and also the pandemic, it was more important than ever to put global health above politics. And Taiwan is a reliable partner able to provide important resources to global health care. Yet the WHO and China have restricted the island nation's access to the health community. And also, I want to tell you the good news. CCC is considering doubling the limit. Saturday, we might see a doubling of the maximum limit of audience members, like to 2,000 per game. Well, now speaking of the CPBL. What is CPBL? It's a Chinese Professional Baseball League. Let's look at this letter to Catherine Chang. This is a letter, I think he stayed in Los Angeles. He said, Catherine, we see LA Times and Wall Street Journal referring CPBL as Chinese Professional Baseball, and it sounds weird. Well, actually, I want to say to you that actually the translation is correct. But this happened in Taiwan. It's not China. But the name is actually Chinese Professional Baseball. And, people are talking about in the legislative yuan whether we should, really correct the name or change it into we can call it TCPBL, just like Taiwan Chinese Professional Baseball, something like that. Well, that's what Mr. Lin said. Can you talk about this on your show? Actually, I can, and actually I'm talking about it. I think CPBL really is a misleading name, and since it's actually Taiwanese, not Chinese, and happened in Taiwan, you see all the game that is interesting, and that really happened in Taiwan. So maybe they should really consider a name change. Well, that will be today's The View. I'm Catherine Chang. I hope you have a nice day, and I'll see you tomorrow.